I often say that I don't really need to work on new jokes. I just need to find people who haven't heard my jokes before, and so that's one of the reasons that I'm glad that you're here, because I don't think you've heard some of the things I'm going to say. But I tell folks all the time that one of the best parts of being a past Rotary president is that I really have no official responsibilities at all, except to be able to tell the current president how bad he's screwing things up that I had done before, which is always kind of fun. But actually, the best part of being a past Rotary president is I now have the opportunity, along with all the other past presidents in the room, to be able to do this, to be able to induct new members into our organization. And that's always a great thing, a great deal of fun to be able to do. Give you just a little bit of history about Rotary. Some of this you may know. I know you've been with us for a few times, and perhaps some of the folks that you sat with have talked to you a little bit about the history of Rotary. But Rotary was founded in 1905 by a gentleman named Paul Harris, who was a Chicago area attorney. And he wanted to start a professional group that kind of had that same friendly feel that he was accustomed to growing up in a small town. So he talked 3 of his associates into joining him, and then he talked one of those guys into hosting a meeting at his office in a downtown Chicago office building. And that was the first Rotary meeting. At that meeting, they decided to call the club Rotary because their intention was to rotate the location of each of the meetings. There's no more science behind it than that. You'll notice the logo for Rotary is a wheel. And that's kind of the same thought is about that rotating meetings that started back in 1905. And Rotary certainly has a very rich history and is known throughout the world for all of the humanitarian work that the organization does. But even with that, every so often I get asked a question. And the question is, why are you a Rotarian? And that's a pretty powerful question. And there are lots of reasons that I'm a Rotarian, but I thought I'd maybe show you some images today that might help, at least for me, give you a better idea of why I'm a Rotarian. Now, I mentioned Paul Harris and his 3 colleagues that started Rotary back in 1905. This is actually a picture of those guys. Very distinguished looking group. They look like they could be the founders of a significant service organization that's certainly made a mark in our world. Now, this is a look at today's Cape West Rotary Club, which actually looks like a bunch of homeless guys waiting on a bus, doesn't it? I mean, so when I think about why I'm a Rotarian, I think Paul Harris and those 3 guys that started Rotary, one of the reasons that they started Rotary was certainly for fellowship and some networking. And we have an opportunity to do that. But this is the group that I get to hang out with now. And so I certainly enjoy the fellowship and the networking opportunities, and you'll find benefit in that as well. But that's not really the reason that I'm a Rotarian. In fact, if you think about what these guys are doing, and I'm one of them, I'm one of the homeless looking guys sitting there, we're just on a lunch break, because what we were doing when that picture was taken was we were taking a break from remodeling the inside of the Humane Society of Southeast Missouri. And so for a couple of weekends, guys and ladies gave up their time to come out and help an organization in our community that provides a great service to our community, help make it better. Now, I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing with that rather puzzled look on my face. It looks like maybe Larry is thinking about dropping something heavy on my head. But that's just an example of the expert leadership that I was able to bring to the club during my tenure. I got to stand around with my hands in my pockets and watch other people work, which is kind of a cool thing. But the work that was done there, that's why I'm a Rotarian. And then many of us are involved with a program that's called Read to Succeed. And I know that I participate at Franklin Elementary on Monday morning, and of the 5 volunteers that are there helping kindergartners and first graders learn to read, of the 5 people that are in my group, 3 of them are members of this club. And so that's kind of neat when I go and I see the impact that we're having. And then I can tell you that there are times when it's pretty difficult working with some of these kids who may not necessarily really want to read. But the other day, the little girl that I've been working with said to me that she didn't have anybody at home that read to her. And that made me terribly sad. And then when I got up to leave a couple of times, the little kids came running up and hugged me and thanked me for helping them. That's why I'm a Rotarian. And then Rotary, one of the big emphasis of Rotary is the eradication of polio. It's hard for people, certainly of your generation, and even mine, to think about polio and the epidemic that it once posed to our world. And I think the last time I looked, polio has been eradicated in 99% of the world. And that is due in large part to the efforts of Rotary and Rotary International. And people in this room who have traveled the world and dropped that polio vaccine into the mouths of children to ensure that they didn't fall victim to that dreaded disease. So that's why I'm a Rotarian. And this guy, Skip Rapp, a few years ago, he saw a need in Haiti for an opportunity to lift children out of poverty by helping to provide them with an education. In fact, he formed an organization that's called Out of Poverty Through Education. And a number of members of this club have made financial donations to that, and also donations of physical labor and things, because the vision resulted in building a school for this large number of orphans in this terribly impoverished village in Haiti. I had the privilege of going and visit there a year ago, and these are some of the children that when they saw us coming, they just came from everywhere to thank us for the work that we were done. And we had this sign made up, and so all these kids know what Cape West Rotary is. So that was pretty cool. And now that building project has progressed to where the school is open and kids are going to school, and so now a young man like that has an opportunity to go and receive an education. And then all of these little kids that are lined up in the morning as they're raising the flag, they now have a chance to have a better life. That's why I'm a Rotarian. And we have a lot of fun too. Once a year, we have a major fundraising event that if you haven't heard about, you will. But we raise a lot of money in the organization. And one of the things we do to celebrate this scholarship fundraising effort is we have a big golf tournament. And that'll be coming up soon. You'll hear a lot about it. So we have a lot of fun. But it's not so much the fun that we have at the golf tournament. It's the fact that through the efforts of some great members of the club and the golf committee, the scholarship committee, we raise a lot of money to be able to provide scholarships to working adults so they can continue their education. I think that check, if I'm not incorrect, says $87,500. Does that sound about right? The check that we presented to Dr. Dobbins at Southeast, and that goes to benefit all of these scholarship recipients. So that's why I'm a Rotarian. And here's Skip and Steve again. We also have another event. We have a radio auction once a year that everybody comes together in a club, and it's a lot of fun. We raise a lot of money, and again, it's a great social time, but the reason we do it is because we take that money that we raise and we find some organization that needs our help. This year, we bought this van for Hope Children's Home. By the way, your van wasn't painted, by the way, Paul. I superimposed that over there. So
that's some good Photoshop
yeah,
work.
thank you very much.
I'm convinced.
But we were able to buy this van so that Paul and his lovely bride, who founded Hope Children's Home, can now move those kids around. There's 12 kids that they're providing a home for. Otherwise, who knows what would happen to them. That's why I'm a Rotarian. So, why am I a Rotarian? It's pretty easy. I'm a Rotarian because I get to work with really good people who do really good things. And so today you join the ranks of more than 1.2 million Rotarians around the world who serve in more than 34,000 clubs. And you're joining a group that's committed to action. Hopefully you got a taste a little bit of that action that this club is involved with. We're a group that's committed to making a difference in the world. And this group is committed to making a difference in Cape in our area. And this is a group, you're joining a group that's committed to living out the Rotary motto of service above self. And I hope you get a chance to see and get the sense that we like to have a good time, but I tell everybody that this is not a social club, that this is a service club. True to the original intent of the founders and the early leaders of the club, we put our time and our talent to work in service of others. So on behalf of all of the members of Cape West Rotary, I want to welcome you to our club, and we look forward to many years of the contributions of your time and talent that you'll provide to help make our community a much better place. So welcome aboard.